Margaret is with us now from the White House. So, Margaret, we are seeing reports that Mr. Trump will sign executive orders on immigration Thursday, focusing on majority Muslim countries. How would that align with what he said in the campaign and during the transition?
Well, on the campaign trail, then candidate Donald Trump talked about something he referred to as extreme vetting, suggesting within that there would be extra scrutiny for those entering the United States, particularly if they're coming from countries where there's been a history of terrorism. But we have yet to hear any specifics on exactly what that would look like. And in fact, we heard the new Secretary of Homeland Security, who was just recently sworn in, John Kelly, during his testimony on Capitol Hill, raised some objections to the concept of perhaps categorizing or registering people based on their religious affiliation, saying he would not support something like that. So exactly what this immigration action, what form it would take, specifically what it would mean, is not clear yet. We do know that in past years, particularly since 9/11, those entering the United States from the Middle East in particular and other high-risk nations are put through extensive security screenings. It's basically harder to enter America from those countries than any other place on earth, and even harder if you're a refugee. So it's not clear what tweaks exactly Mr. Trump is talking about.
Well, Margaret, on another issue, in practical terms, what is the immediate effect of President Trump's actions on the two oil pipelines?
So basically, Elaine, these pipelines still aren't definite, but Donald Trump cleared the way for two controversial oil projects. One of them is known as the Keystone Pipeline. The other is the Dakota Access Pipeline. The first builds an oil pipeline to bring Canadian oil into the United States, and the Obama administration took a long time before finally saying, we're going to rule it out due to environmental concerns. The other action, the Dakota Pipeline, would build a pipeline under a water supply area, a reservoir in North Dakota that's also the main source of drinkable water for one of the local Native American tribes. So there have been extensive protests there saying if the Army Corps of Engineers builds this pipeline, it would endanger those living in the areas unfairly. And so today, Donald Trump said, well, we're going to clear the way. We're going to look at this. It's not definite, but we're going to quickly give you an answer. And if these pipelines do get built, well, we want a plan that requires the pipes to be made with mainly American-made steel.
And Margaret, House Speaker Paul Ryan invited President Trump to address a joint session of Congress. What more do we know about that?
Well, Elaine, it's typical for new presidents to go and do something like this. Both Presidents Obama and Bush before him did so within about a month and a half of taking office. So by the end of February, Sean Spicer, the White House spokesman, says he expects to have lots of actions to explain and to talk about on Capitol Hill. The question is how much of that involves asking Congress to follow through on crafting laws. What we've seen so far in just these very first few days of the Trump administration are orders and actions basically peeling back a lot of the things that President Obama did. Basically saying, here's what I don't support. In terms of policy and crafting legislation, that's a messier, more nuanced process, and that's something that Donald Trump is going to have to convince both some skeptical Republicans and Democrats to support him on. So, in short, that unfavorability rating that he has right now among American populace could end up impacting his legislative agenda on Capitol Hill. So he's got to convince them to buy in to whatever he's suggesting.
And that joint session is scheduled for February 28th. Margaret Brennan at the White House. Margaret, thank you.